We will be issuing an order and best guidance in regard to sports. This is really the best guidance that can be provided by the health experts and the medical experts. But the caveat always is that, like anything else in life, it depends on how it is executed. So we would just ask people when this comes out within the next day, just take a look at it, kind of go through it. But let me give you the highlights. So we will be releasing this order, and really it's about how we can provide the best advice to how sports in Ohio are conducted. This includes not only high school athletes, not only situations that are under the Ohio High School Athletic Association's umbrella, but any kind of sports, organized by basically anybody in the state. So it applies to all athletes, all teams, whether under this umbrella of the Ohio High School Athletic Association or not. We have certainly heard from parents, we've heard from athletes, we've talked to young people, coaches, doctors, and health experts. Just maybe a few thoughts about this and kind of our thinking process. We know, first of all, that just as going back to school in person does increase the risk of spread, we know that sports do, particularly contact sports. They do as well. Further, we know that, as Dr. Borcher said several times, the more spread there is in a community, the more spread there's going to be in the school, and the higher risk there's going to be to the students and certainly to the athletes as well. On the other hand, we all know the importance of sports. We've seen that, Fran and I have seen that with our own children. We've seen it with our own grandchildren. Sports matters, it makes a difference. Sports provides all the things that we know. Discipline, brings order, structure in the lives of student athletes, and certainly brings joy to those athletes and certainly to their families as well. Any decision about playing sports or not playing sports simply cannot be made in a vacuum. That young person, if they're not playing sports, will obviously be doing something else with their time. And that has to be kept in mind as well. We also know, of course, that each young person is different. Each young person has different needs. Each young person is at a different point in their life with different needs, different situations. Again, our order provides what we hope is the best guidance to play sports as safely as that can be played in the era of COVID-19. So our order will provide that all sports may go forward this fall, both contact and the non-contact sports. Again, we lay out exactly the roadmap and how this should take place and what has to be done to make it as safe as possible. We also, though, have heard from superintendents, we've heard from families, for a desire to switch some of these contact sports, football, soccer, field hockey, to the spring. Lieutenant Governor and I have had conversations with the Ohio High School Athletic Association, and they have given the go-ahead for schools that want to do that to move to the spring. As we go through this, frankly, we know some schools are still deciding. Some schools have already made up their mind. They've already announced. Our goal is to provide, is to focus on the student and to focus on the school and to provide them the best opportunity they can so that young person can participate. No one can guess what the future is going to be. We don't know, frankly, what the situation is going to be or how far into the season we'll be able to get, or if we can get all the way into the season. We certainly hope right now. Nor can we predict if things will be better when it would become time to play these sports in the spring. But this order simply allows sports to move forward. And we have heard it expressed by some superintendents and others that they would like to be able to have a season, but they don't want to have a season now. We've certainly heard from other schools and other parents who say, we want that season now. We think this is the best thing to happen for many, many, many reasons. We have noticed that a good number of our urban schools, our city schools, have decided not to go back in person, and they've also decided not to have fall sports. So if there was no opportunity in the spring to play, and again, we can't predict the future. We don't know that's going to look like. But there is hope, and they will at least have hope, and we hope actually a season. They've already made the decision not to play in the fall, so we don't want to exclude those children either. We want to give them the hope and the opportunity to also have a season. Under our orders, let me talk for a moment about spectators. Everyone I've talked to, virtually everyone I've talked to, has put the focus exactly where it should be. And that focus should be on young people, letting them play. It's also important, I believe, that that young person have someone there, if possible, to support them. There are people there. Many times it's family members. Sometimes it may be someone else who's very, very close to the family or very, very close to that particular young person. So when our order comes out, what you will see is that we will not have spectators other than family members or people very close to that particular child. And we'll leave that, of course, up to the school, how to do that. We also know, if you talk, for example, football, and other sports too, but I associate this with football more, and that is a marching band. That might be a drill team. That might be other things that happen during halftime. And so we would want to provide an opportunity for those parents as well to be able to come and observe what is going on. So we'll have more details on that when the order is actually issued. But that's the basic underpinning in regard to spectators. I think what you'll see when you look at the orders is no big surprises. So the health guidance that is in there is pretty much the guidance that you have heard from us, but you've also heard on TV, you've read in the newspaper. No big surprises. I would just express a hope. I have a lot of hopes, but one hope is that the desire to have a season. I hope that the desire to have a season will inspire our young people, our athletes, our student athletes, 24/7 to be as careful as they can. And I hope also that our coaches, and John Houston and I will be talking with coaches later today and several different calls. We're also going to be talking to superintendents, athletic directors on conference calls. But our hope is that the coaches will use this as an opportunity to focus on helping these young people understand what really is at stake. And that if they're going to be able to play whatever sport it is they're playing, whether it is soccer or football, whatever it is, that they're going to have to do everything they can to keep COVID out of their team. So I hope, and I believe it will work. The driving force that will inspire our young men, our young women, to make decisions in their lives 24/7. And I hope that will inspire them to make the right decisions, to give them the opportunity to have the best chance they can to play their sport. To the coaches, you in a normal year inspire, you mentor, you instruct, you instill discipline, self-discipline to your student athletes. For all of that, we're very, very grateful. Parents, grandparents, everybody else connected with that child, we're very grateful for what you do. You make a lot of sacrifices, you work long hours, and you inspire our kids. And so we thank you very, very much for that. But this year, it's going to take more. It's going to be inspiring them in regard to the goal of keeping COVID out. Children who have been signed up for the Imagination Library. So if you've not done so, go online and do that. So that's good news. Just to conclude, success this year in sports is going to be measured always by wins and losses and effort and all the things that we measure sports by. But it's also going to be measured certainly to some extent as how well we can keep the COVID away from the team, away from the athletes. I think by what we're doing today, we're empowering our young people, we're empowering the parents, we're empowering the schools to take all the evidence, all the information, and make the best judgment call for that child, for those children. These are tough calls. Play contact sports now. Play them in the spring. Don't play them. These are all tough decisions. There's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. We just ask everyone to weigh everything, make the individual best decision for that particular child, for that team, for that school. What we want to do is give as many options as possible out there for everyone. As Dr. Borchers pointed out, community itself, whatever that community is, that's going to, as far as the COVID spread, you're going to see that in the schools. You can take a small rural county. That county can probably look at the numbers and get a pretty good idea what that spread is, get a very good idea what that recent spread is in the community. If you're in a big urban county, much more diverse, many more people, you may have to look at that data more granular, more in regard to the zip code and things like that. But this information is there. And if we can help anybody, superintendents or anyone, dig down into that information, we're more than happy to try to help them. Sports is about a lot of things, but one of the things it's about is hope. It doesn't matter what sport it is, hope springs eternal when you start. And so we'll end on that happy thought. But I would just say that hope itself is not a plan. It's not a strategy. We all should have hope, but we also should have a plan. So we would ask you, those who are making the decision to play, we wish you every success in the world. We wish your kids every success in keeping COVID away. Look at the plan we have and try the best you can to execute that, because we believe that gives you the best chance, your kids the best chance of being able to play a season.